Hi YouTube. I decided to put together a video on installing a brake controller on a Sprinter 3500, and this probably works on most of the other variants of the Sprinter as well. This is a 2019 and it has the factory wiring already installed. This is the 2020 Winnebago Bolt, but I'm sure this would work on the Rebel or the probably any of the other upfitters that use the Mercedes chassis. So this is a picture from Mercedes-Benz, and this is underneath the driver's seat. And you can see in this picture on the front of the driver's seat, toward the front of the car, is a little green pigtail, and that is the pre-wired brake controller harness. So we need to tap into that. Now that's below the seat, and the last thing I want to do is remove the seat. So I'm going to show you how to do this install without having to remove the seat. I went to eTrailer.com and bought these two parts. I don't know if probably any brake controller would work, but the important part is that you get this wiring adapter. Now you can make your own, but for $29.32, you can have one pre-wired for you. So I bought this combination, and it was a real easy install, and let me show you how that was done. So here's the unboxing. I got the brake controller. Not crazy about it, but it works. And then I got this wiring harness. Now this on the box said 2007 to 2011, but when I ordered it, it said 2019, so it seems to work fine. Again, here's another look under the driver's seat, and there's that green pigtail that we need to tap into. Okay, so you're looking at the driver's seat, and I've reached under the seat, and with a small arm, skinny arm, maybe a kid's arm, you can get your hand under that seat and find that brake controller pigtail, that little green tail. It's pretty hard to find. You got to get your hand way in there, but you can kind of fish it out and pull it out. So if you're able to get that out, now we can start to get to the battery compartment. So with a Torx 20, there's two screws to take off this piece of paneling. Then this rubber mat just lifts up, and you can kind of just pull that whole thing out on the driver's side and access the battery compartment, and it looks like this. There's a plate and four screws. They're T27, and that's how you get this cover off, and that's what I did here. In hindsight, I probably should have thrown a towel or something over that battery while I was working so I didn't drop a tool or something and accidentally shorted out the battery, but I didn't, and I didn't have any problems. So that is the battery compartment. So that's where we're going to run the wire. So what I've done here with some bad camera work, because I'm trying to do this with one hand, I took the harness and I ran it up underneath the seat from the battery compartment. It's not that hard to do. You just kind of fish it up there, and now I'm pulling it out the top, and I'm going to join those two there, but first I wanted to test it before I started putting everything back together. So now I'm fishing the other end of the brake controller up, and it's pretty easy to do. It goes right up the side there. I'll use some zip ties later to secure it, but I'm just fishing it up to where the brake controller is going to be mounted. So now I'm looking for a place to mount the brake controller, and I'm 6'3", and I was worried about kicking it with my shins or with my foot, but there's no problem at all. I put the brake controller right here, and I couldn't possibly hit it with my knee. So it's a good spot for it. Screwed it right into the plastic. The cord was just, or the harness was just long enough to make it. So now I'm marking it so I can drill some pilot holes. I used a 3/32 bit and drilled a couple of pilot holes there, and then used the screws that came with it, and it held pretty well. Okay, now I'm installing the brake controller. I put a piece of plastic wire conduit on there just because I don't like seeing those colored wires under the dash. So you'll see here in just a second, I just put a couple inches of that on there just to make it look a little nicer. Okay, so now I'm starting to wrap things up, getting everything secured where I wanted to be. I put some zip ties in place to keep that harness from moving around. And I'll start putting everything back together here, and you can see how it looks when it's all done. I'll tuck that connection point back in under the driver's seat, and by the way, that has no effect on that being able to swivel at all. So the swivel mechanism is all above that, so there's no problem getting any wires caught or anything like that. I think I show you here. Okay, so everything works good. And so that's how to install a brake controller on a Mercedes Sprinter with factory wiring. I hope this was helpful and hope showed you how you can do it without actually having to remove the seat. And should be good to go now. Thanks for watching.